Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and today I've got Sheila Cunningham with me from the
Bolivar Peninsula
Special Utilities District. We're going to talk about the new water tower. We've watched it going up. They've worked on it about a year, haven't they?
Yes, exactly.
About a year. We're going to talk about the new water tower, getting it put online, what it entails, and then also we're going to talk about some rumors that are floating around about problems with getting water hooked up. Sheila, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
The water tower was supposed to be hooked up in service by July, and it's running behind. What set it off a little bit?
We had a few bad weather days, quite honestly, and just a little bit of difficulty in arranging for materials in a timely manner, but no major delays, quite honestly. This is all fairly normal.
No technical problems as far as the setup of it?
No, that tank is sound, and we're going to be proud of it.
Well, I know, I've talked to the weld crew that was there, and we shot a lot of video of it, and man, they were on top of things.
Yes.
That guy knew how much wind, because they had to have the wind at a certain level to raise it that day. And I think it was put off a couple days because of the wind.
Yes.
But he knew exactly at 5 foot, at 10 foot, and how tall is that? 100 foot?
Oh, it's more than that, but I can't give you an exact number, sorry.
He knew exactly what the wind was up there, and so when do you think it'll be in service?
We expect to put it in service, maybe even have a ribbon cutting ceremony, maybe end of September.
September?
Possibly.
Will the people be able to tell anything different when it goes online?
They might have a little bit better pressure, but probably not a huge difference in each and every home, no.
But it's 4 times more water supply than what we had.
Right, yeah.
We
had a 250,000 gallon elevated storage tank before, and now it's 1 million gallons still elevated storage tank there.
And it's double the size, the one at Boyd Road, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's 1 million gallon.
And the great part about this is when Joe was here, this didn't cost the end users a penny.
Exactly. All of the funds for this elevated storage tank are coming from the GLO, Government General Land Office.
General Land Office.
Yes, and the Galveston County Engineer's Office is handling the administration of it. So, quite honestly, Bolivar Peninsula SUD hasn't had anything
expenses.
No expenses whatsoever.
Other than not being able to use that property for 6 months or so. When I called you last week, I'd gotten word of some rumors floating around, and you and I talked a little bit about it.
Yes.
But there's some areas, because of the changes with TCEQ and the way the property was developed, that people may not be able to get water taps to their property. And that sounds worse than it is. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I don't want people to think that, oh, we don't have water down here. We got plenty of water now.
Exactly.
With that new tank coming on. It's more of a pipe restriction.
Exactly.
And so let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So Bolivar Peninsula SUD has a contract with LNVA for 5.5 million gallons of water per day. We have only ever used about 3 million gallons, and that's on a really, really busy weekend.
4th of July weekend.
Exactly. So we've got plenty of water. The water line going down Highway 87 is 20-inch. We have another 12-inch that parallels that in a lot of the system. So the water lines, the main water lines, are absolutely sufficient. We've got plenty of elevated storage tank capacity, including this new 1 million gallon elevated storage tank we were talking about. We're good in almost the whole system. The issue that we're having right now are small water lines on some of the older roads.
And these are roads that were developed by a developer.
They were platted by developers, yes, decades ago, but in many cases, the developer, let's say, platted 120 lots, but only put a water line in for 25 people. There was a real disconnect there. And with all of this growth that we've had just in the past 3 to 5 years, it's caught up. And all of a sudden, we don't have enough to meet the demand.
So it's not the main line. It's if they ran a 2-inch water line down through the development, through the plots, back then we had 400, 500 square foot homes too.
Right.
And so, but now that 2-inch line may need to be a 6-inch line in order to be able to fulfill the capacity, because TCEQ has regulations, don't they?
Absolutely. It's TCEQ who's told us how many meters we can put on a 2-inch water line. It's 10. 2.5-inch water line is 25. A 6-inch water line is 250. So yes, a lot of these neighborhoods now need a 6-inch water line, or at least a minimum 4-inch.
Now the developer is gone. They've sold the lots.
Right.
They're gone. They got their money.
Right.
Where does that fall back on?
So who's going to pay for it, basically,
More
is
or
the
less,
question.
right.
Who's going to pay for it? So that's a great question. There aren't a whole lot of options, quite honestly. I mean, one, if someone needs a water meter right now and we don't have capacity, they can pay for it. And then if other people are able to use or tap onto that line between the main and their property, they can get a partial refund. And we've got someone doing that now. The water company is going to be paying for water line upgrades. I mean, we had $35,000 in our budget at the beginning of this year for that very purpose, but obviously it's not enough, we realize now. So if it fits within our budget and it benefits, a whole neighborhood, we're going to pay for it. Our lawyer and our financial advisor have been working on this, talking with Water Development Board, and determined that we can take some funds out of our restricted account. And when I say restricted, it's the money that by law had to be set aside for our bonds, but we can take some of that out for capital improvements like this. So, we will be paying for more expensive, longer water lines, but we don't have enough money in those funds to cover the whole peninsula. So the Board of Directors is going to have to prioritize which roads go first.
How many roads are there that there is a restriction on?
Right now, I think we've got maybe 10 or so roads on that list, but the list is changing daily because we are still setting meters.
Right.
And as 1 or 2 meters are set on a road, we're counting them up. It's like, no, okay, that one's now full, so it'll be added to the list. And as we're doing these improvements, like I was just talking about, or as a developer does improvements, then we can take roads off of the list.
Okay. And I talked to several realtors here on the peninsula that sell properties down here, and they're aware of the problem or what's going on, and they're actually making sure that if someone calls them, the main realtor I talked to said if someone calls them with a lot, they're asking them, go ahead and get it surveyed and apply for a water meter to make sure you can get a meter on there, because if it doesn't sell, that way it's in the system.
Right.
So when the lot sells, they've already got a spot for that meter on the line. Because the last thing we want, and that's the good part about using a local realtor here, they know about that. And in our real estate show, we always talk about using local realtors because they know the zones, they know what floods, they know what doesn't flood. They also know what roads are on this list that if someone wants to buy it, one of their customers, they know to go check, or if they're going to list it for someone, they'll make sure that that property can be on. Can people call the water department and say, hey, I'm looking at a lot on Tinkle. Here's the address. Can I get a water meter there?
Yes, absolutely. The water company staff, including myself, are available to answer those kind of questions anytime. Any road, any lot, we'll be happy to count up the meters and to the best of our ability tell you whether or not we can provide a meter at that moment.
Does it matter whether it's a house or an RV? When there's a meter, it's just done by meters. So it doesn't matter if it's a 10,000 square foot house or a 400 square foot RV.
Right.
It's still a meter, and that's what they go by.
Right, exactly. And that's a good question. It's kind of a nuanced question, let's say, because when it comes to TCEQ, a meter is a meter is a meter. It doesn't matter what it's serving. However, if it's an RV lot and an engineer signs off that, let's say, 5 or even 10 RVs can be served adequately by a 1-inch meter, and we have a letter from an engineer stating that, then TCEQ will accept it. So there
might be some work around if someone had a lot that they couldn't get a meter on, they might be able to get a letter from an engineer, and TCEQ will accept that.
In an RV park,
for an RV park.
Right, but for individual lots, individual RVs, TCEQ is going to look at, the meter count.
That's sort of funny because
Yes,
you could have, say you have 10 meters with a 10,000 square foot house on each one versus 10 meters with a 1,200 square foot house. They're not going to use as much water, and so they're not using the diameter of the pipe, they're using the number of meters.
And that's exactly why we haven't had a lot of phone calls about low pressure. When you have too many meters on a line, you typically have low pressure, and people start complaining. We haven't had that. One, because people aren't here year round, full time, and two, because RVs do use less water. So that it's just
an offset.
It is.
So anyway, if you're looking for a lot down here, we welcome you and ask you to come enjoy Bolivar. Build your dream home. Enjoy time here with family and friends. But ask your realtor if this lot can have a water meter put on it, if this is on the list. And also, you can call the water department, email them, and get the information you need. That way, when you purchase a lot, you've already know that you can get a water meter on it. So, Sheila, thanks for joining us this morning. Any other questions, please contact the Bolivar Peninsula Special Utilities District. They're open Monday through Friday from
7:30 to 4.
7:30 to 4. They'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless. Buy local, shop local, and bye-bye.